Hey man, say man, it's your boy Tay man. We back at it again, P5, with another banger, man. And we switching it up. Y'all earned a new name. Hit the mic. Y'all earned a new name. If y'all don't know, if y'all watched the last video, y'all earned a new name as being P5. Y'all are the ones that's been loyal. You know, y'all earned a new name. So own up to it. Keep that name. Y'all P5 to him. We were watching. Let's see what we're watching. The dad discovers daughter-in-law is his son's killer. Tell him about a thumbnail and the title. Y'all know what's going on. Subscribe that like button if you haven't already. Let's get into it. I'm talking fast.
Man, we're going to have to get him on this title.
Hassel Jr. Just minutes earlier, his son was found mysteriously shot dead in the driveway of his home.
You know who he is?
Son, it's Tyrone Hassel III.
Tyrone Hassel III.
Tragically, this happened while his son, Sergeant Tyrone Hassel III, was home for the holidays at his father's house, spending New Year's Eve with his wife and their child. His wife, Kamaya, was the one who first found Tyrone out, immediately called police and was clearly panicked and extremely distressed.
I need help. My husband was shot.
At first, officers thought the tragedy was the result of a robbery or a case of mistaken identity.
This may be a robbery.
But they would be horribly wrong. What Tyrone Hassel Jr. didn't know yet was that his daughter-in-law, Kamaya, was hiding a dark secret that would ruin the family's life. As the investigation continued, detectives would uncover a toxic relationship and a twisted conspiracy, with Kamaya at the very center of it all.
No, he just brought us something to eat.
Okay.
So we sit on the couch eating.
I was gonna make a thumbnail, but
gunshots.
If I tell you that this guy, who I think did it to my son, ain't a black person, would y'all treat him the same way?
Absolutely.
y'all guys really though. Hope y'all liking the video so far. Nothing really happened. Just want to let y'all know. Y'all P5 now.
911.
I need help. My husband.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
I need help. I need help. My husband was shot.
This the
I need
thumbnail.
help.
Okay, where you at, ma'am?
I'm in Colfax Avenue.
Colfax?
Yes, please.
Is this a house and apartment?
What is the house?
Okay, and tell me exactly what happened.
I don't know. My husband bought us some food, and he left out, and
Watch
me and
this,
my
watch
son
this.
were eating, and I just heard gunshots. And I put myself in the room, and I came outside, and my husband was on the ground.
Different bar.
Stay on the line
I
with
quit.
me
I
here.
quit. I quit.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Where's your husband's outside? Okay, stay on the line with me. Ma'am, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath from me, okay? How many shots did you hear, ma'am? Ma'am? Hello?
And she let the shots out.
Me and my son were sitting on the couch eating.
Tyrone returned to the house just after 11 p.m. After going inside and bringing food to his family, he stepped back outside. That's when his wife heard gunshots coming from the side of the house near the driveway. She ran outside and found her husband lying next to his pickup truck in the driveway, badly injured and suffering from multiple gunshot wounds.
Who's this guy that's shot in the head?
My husband.
In the head?
Yes.
Okay. What's his name?
Tyrone Hassel. Yes, sir.
The story of how Tyrone met his wife goes back about 5 years before this tragedy. Tyrone was starting his second year of college when he decided to join the Army.
Okay, Gerald.
In 2015, he met Kamaya while they were both serving in the military and stationed at Fort Carson. Their relationship moved fast and quickly became serious. Things became even more serious when Kamaya found out she was pregnant.
Yeah, we can tell by the nose.
At the time of Sergeant Hassel's murder, Kamaya, who was 22 years old, and Sergeant Hassel were on block leave from Fort Stewart. Kamaya was working as a truck driver, and Sergeant Hassel was serving as a wheel mechanic. At that point, police didn't allow Tyrone Hassel Jr. or Kamaya to leave the scene. They were dealing with a lot of unanswered
A long
questions.
time ago, Daddy, if I go to jail, somebody frame me. My son walked a straight line his entire life.
After speaking with people close to him, police learned that Tyrone didn't have any known enemies, nothing that would explain something like this. They then began carefully processing the scene. There was blood on the truck and blood across the driveway. Multiple shell casings were also found, scattered around where Tyrone had fallen.
There's one, two, three.
And then number 4 is right there.
The first thing police suspected was that this may have been a robbery gone wrong. But Sergeant Hassel still had his money, his phone, and his car keys on him, so that possibility was quickly ruled out.
You do that.
In fact, the bullet holes there means that the shooter was over on
Right.
the side in the casings.
Right.
We got a bullet right there.
By looking at how the shooting happened, the shots hitting Tyrone in the head, face, neck, and shoulders, it was clear this was a personal attack, not a random act of violence. Detectives also noticed that some rounds went into the garage, which showed that the shooter was positioned behind him while Tyrone was standing at the doorway of his truck. One of the first leads detectives got was that Tyrone had gone to Walmart the night of the murder to buy ammunition. The rounds he bought were 9mm, the same type used in his shooting. This raised an important question. Why was he buying ammo, and was it for self-defense? Without wasting any time, the detectives went to Walmart to collect all the security footage from that night. The Walmart footage clearly shows that he ran into 2 other people while he was there. Maybe there was some sort of feud with these customers, but it's not something the police couldn't track. Now, they're working to identify these 2 individuals to see if there's any connection between them and the shooting that happened just a few hours later. Around 3:30 p.m. the next day, police returned to Tyrone Hassel Jr.'s home. They showed him screenshots taken from the Walmart surveillance video, hoping he might recognize the 2 people Tyrone had interacted with.
Last night when he went to Walmart, he was with a few guys, and there's a little bit of confusion. That's him there, right? You can't really tell who those guys are here.
Family wants to find the person responsible for a New Year's Eve shooting that left a 23-year-old active military member dead.
Through the investigation, detectives conducted interviews and eventually learned that the 2 men Tyrone had interacted with at Walmart were just his high school friends with no connection to the shooting. With no clear motive or useful leads, the police were still at the very beginning of their investigation. It didn't take long for the next lead to come directly from Tyrone Hassel Jr. himself. He started going through social media, carefully reviewing posts on Facebook to see if anything could point to who might be responsible for the crime.
Dad,
When
I
he
can't
came
lie.
across something that seemed suspicious, he immediately went to the police department to report it.
If I tell you that this guy, who I think did it to my son, ain't a black person, that he's not a black person, would y'all treat him the same way?
Absolutely.
I think I know who did this to my son.
He believed the killer might have actually been looking for Tyrone's stepbrother, who at the time was dealing with some personal conflicts with other people.
Whoa, P5. The brother and siblings hate can get crazy. It could get to that. But you know, people do take it crazy and not lightly. So
That, police considered the possibility that this was a targeted hit meant for the stepbrother, a case of mistaken identity that tragically ended with Tyrone being killed instead.
That's the first screenshot.
Oh, that's what you're thinking?
Now, you know
Yep.
my stepson.
Yeah.
He's into a bunch of shit.
Oh, we know.
Police interviewed Tyrone's stepbrother and took his statement, then followed up by speaking with other witnesses connected to him. They pushed this lead as far as they could, and it took about a week to interview everyone involved. But once again, it went nowhere. As the investigation continued, the evidence police gathered made one thing clear: the stepbrother was not involved. There was no indication that he, or anyone he had issues with, played any role in the shooting. On top of that, his appearance was very different. He had long dreadlocks down to his shoulders, making a case of mistaken identity with Tyrone highly unlikely. In cases like this, when police don't have an initial suspect, they're forced to follow every possible lead. After that, police began receiving a large number of tips from the community. In several of those tips, callers said Tyrone had been seen in the roller rink area, where he was involved in a verbal confrontation with another person. Detectives then located Tyrone's friend, Dylan. They brought him to the police station to talk in more detail about what had happened and see if it could be connected to the shooting.
What did you see there?
We got there, and we see him, and I'm speaking, he just give us an odd look, and then, like, Tyrone cut out early.
So this drama dude was on Apple Street too?
Yeah.
Wherever that was?
Yeah, and he just like give off this vibe.
He mentioned that there had been a verbal altercation with a guy known by the street name Drama. Investigators decided to follow up on that lead to see if it had any connection to Tyrone's murder. They also brought in 2 other friends for interviews, hoping to get a clearer picture of what really happened.
So the reason I'm here, you were at the roller rink Sunday night with Ty. So did you see anything happen out there that looked funny or anything like that? Because one of the guys that was with you saw him and Drama have like some kind of like a gaze, maybe a glare type thing that happened.
No, I didn't. I didn't see anything.
No.
Majority of the time he was there, he was just skating.
Did you see where Drama was at all? Did you know who I'm talking about?
I didn't see it. I know him by the name of Drama, but
Do you?
I didn't see him.
Okay. This is just one of the many leads.
Dead end after dead end. The process of chasing leads that go nowhere can be exhausting for investigators. But what detectives still didn't know was that one of those tips would eventually become the key to solving the case. The person responsible had been right there the whole time, standing close to the family and the police, appearing to grieve along with everyone else, a revelation that would soon shock the entire community. Through the investigation, a resident came forward and reported something unusual. On the night of the murder, they noticed a vehicle backed into a driveway at a residence. That detail ended up giving detectives one of their first major clues. The vehicle was described as a black 4-door car that had backed into the driveway of a vacant house that was listed for sale. Detectives were able to get a license plate reader hit on that vehicle, tracking it as it passed through Illinois toll booths captured on surveillance cameras. That plate came back to someone in the U.S. military, serving in the same battalion as Sergeant Tyrone Hassel III. The owner was identified as Jeremy Cuellar, a member of the same squad as Tyrone. Using the license plate data, investigators were able to place his vehicle near the scene of the crime on the day of the shooting. For the first time, the investigation was starting to show real progress, and police finally had a name. Before detectives spoke directly with Jeremy, they immediately contacted investigators at Fort Stewart working with the U.S. Army. Army investigators began going through the platoons connected to the case and interviewed several service members. One of them was Sergeant Bacon. He had personal first-hand knowledge of Jeremy Cuellar and Kamaya Hassel, information that would quickly become critical to the case.
So when y'all would hang out, what would y'all typically do?
Talk and drink and just chill out the room.
Okay. So any relationships between any of those people in that group going on?
I mean, in Korea, I knew Quay Hassel messed around, and then that was it.
All right. Tell me what you know about that.
I seen them together and messed around, and then was it like, everybody had their own little battleground career.
So when you say messing around, what are you getting at with that? Because obviously, everybody's got different.
Oh yeah.
Wait. I was so tunnel vision. Quay and Khalid. Did he just say Khalid? He's probably trying to say Kamaya.
What are you getting?
Everybody had their own little battleground career. I seen them together and messed. That was it.
All right. Tell me what you know about that.
I seen them together and messed around, and then
Right.
was it like, everybody had their own little battleground career.
So when you say messing around, what are you getting at with that? Because obviously, everybody's got different.
Oh yeah, sexually.
I'll help you with that. So they were all in Korea, and that's where it started. He and the girl had a relationship going on, and that the guy that.
Oh, so she cheated and then killed him. Oh my God.
Had said something to him, so they had words, and then he had threatened him.
The relationship between Jeremy and Tyrone's wife turns out to be a crucial piece of the puzzle. It adds real weight to the motive and helps explain why certain things may have happened.
Twin.
Once Kamaya's name comes into the picture, police have no choice but to focus on her next. A turn in the case that would shock everyone. But detectives still need the full story. Was Kamaya being stalked by Jeremy, with him becoming obsessed and ultimately deciding to eliminate what he saw as his rival? Or was she actually part of it, aware of what was going to happen and involved from the start?
What was going on? When did you guys become romantic? You guys seen each other while he was in Michigan? Now listen, did you see him while you're in Michigan? Because they're going to take your phone apart. When they take your phone apart, it's all there. So what I want to say is, before they
And she should know that. She's in the military.
do that, I want you to be honest with me.
I've worked the same amount of hours that he worked, and I still have to come home and do everything for the baby.
I agree, that's not
Look how she doing it. Look how she's starting it off, twin.
And it's like the reason why the relationship and a bond was built between me and Jeremy is because he will always tell me, you know, you don't have to worry about that when me and you get together.
No comment.
I'll make
No
sure
comment.
you have your breaks. I'll do this for the baby. I'll do that. And it just made me really feel like that all of that was going to happen.
The first striking thing about Kamaya in the interview was how cold and calculated she was. Definitely not normal for an average person. You could even say she manipulated Jeremy into pulling the trigger. What's clear, though, is that she was a much more active participant part of the plan from the start, with Jeremy following through on her instructions.
So, when we were in Korea, I can't really pinpoint exactly when it was. Me and Ty had this big argument, and then, you know, I came back into the building, and I was talking to Jeremy. I'm like, man, I don't want to be with him no more. Like, I'm tired of this, you know, I don't want to deal with it no more. And he was like, so why y'all still together? And I was like, you know, we have a child, and even if I talked to him about divorce, he probably wouldn't even, you know, do it with me. And he was like, I can handle that. And I was like, you know, what do you mean by that? He was like, I can handle it. I get that guy, I get a girl, blah, blah, blah. Well, it just started to progress.
Why didn't you do it in Korea?
No, it was just planned in Korea. It wasn't to be done in Korea. It was just planned in Korea when we got back to the States. But I didn't take it serious because even though
Stop. Now listen, this is where you and I stay straight. Because you didn't take it serious because you knew he was out there that night.
Well, yeah.
With a gun. So were you guys talking because they're going to get, you were corresponding every day?
He would be like, what's today looking like? And I'd be like, well, he's out cutting hair. And he'd be like, okay, well, we'll be up there in a few hours. And then he'll come up here and scope out and see if he'll come home by himself or if he wouldn't. And then we would try to take the opportunity. I said, well, he's about to bring us something to eat. And then
That's so messed up, twin. Like, your own girl set you up and you proposed to her, twin, just because y'all had a little argument in a different country.
So you called him and said, well, hold on. He's coming back to bring food.
Yeah, I said that he was coming back to bring us something to eat.
No, he just brought us something to eat. So we sit on the couch eating, and then I just heard gunshots.
But why would you just divorce him?
I talked to him about it, and he didn't want to.
You put your needs, your wants above somebody's life.
I did.
Often suspects won't say much to the police, but when she confessed during the interrogation, almost everything she talked about was about herself, how things affected her, why it had to be done, and how calculated it all was.
You know, you said you feel about as responsible as Jeremy is. I mean, would you say this is a 50-50 you guys were on this?
Yeah. Because I know all about it, and like I said, I probably could have stopped it, but the reason that I didn't because I felt like he would, you know, be mad at me or...
And not love you anymore?
Yeah, because I just felt like I wasn't getting that love at home like I wanted to.
Without a doubt, she's one of the coldest people you could ever come across in any true crime story. At the same time, the army...
You're heard on TV shows, you know, you have a right to remain silent, you have a right, you know, to an attorney, those types of things. And at this point in time, do you wish to have a lawyer? Okay.
Exactly the opposite of Kamaya, Jeremy didn't say a word. He invoked his right to remain silent, and at that point, the interview had to be ended. During the investigation, the mounting evidence against Kamaya was overwhelming. Her confession made it clear this was a planned and premeditated act, and that Jeremy had come up from Illinois to carry out the homicide. Kamaya wanted her husband dead because she felt he wasn't taking care of her properly. She believed she was overburdened and had too much responsibility. Her narcissistic traits became even more apparent during one police interview when she was asked if Sergeant Hassel had life insurance. She casually mentioned she would receive $400,000 from the Army after his death. The financial motive was clearly a factor in the crime, but what really happened that night was that Tyrone was actually bringing food back for her and their one-year-old son when the hit occurred. Kamaya was at least as involved, if not more so, than Jeremy. He was just happy to be the one pulling the trigger. In the end, August 29, 2019, About 8 months after Tyrone's killing, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She will never see freedom again. Jeremy also pleaded guilty to second-degree murder on July 30th, 2019, and was sentenced to 65 years in prison. With his earliest eligibility for parole at age 90, it's extremely unlikely he will ever get out. He later tried to withdraw his plea, but the Michigan Supreme Court refused to hear his case in 2021.
How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. Under the circumstances.
Man, she wanted me to do it, man. Like, and I ain't gonna lie, I wanted her. You know what I'm saying? And she knew what she was doing. She wanted the money. So I don't know what that's crazy. It's crazy. Honestly, I was blind. Like, I was blinded. You know, I thought that was love. You know what I'm saying?
I was just wondering if she talked to you about that afterwards.
I mean, yeah, she did. Matter of fact, she did. She was like, yeah, like, you know, he died in my arms. And she was saying she was sad about it. And I'm like, then why'd you have me do it then? Like, you know what I'm saying? But she was just like, you know, it's cool. Like, I could tell by the way you look, man, you want me to burn in hell, sir.
I was just about. That just made my head itch. The way he looking at him, it just, if he could only put his hands on him, twin.
And I understand that. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? I really hope you can forgive me. You know what I'm saying? I know it's gonna take forever, or you might not. But I really hope you can.
He ain't even blinking.
True enough, you killed my son, but I don't think. I know I'm looking at somebody that had a twisted mind at one point. You know, you seemed like a good cat. And I hate the situation had to happen, especially I hate it had to happen to my son. I'm never gonna. The only thing I could do is visit him in the grave.
Oh, man. Rest in peace, twin. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Hey, man, subscribe and like that. Why do I do this every time? Every time. Let's go. Let's go. Subscribe. I'm wigging out. Subscribe and hit that like button if you haven't already, twin. Y'all P5. Hopefully you made it the back of the. Oh my God, I just messed up again. I've been doing this for years. I still can't do it right. Hopefully you. Never mind. Hopefully you made it to the end of this video. I really thank you if you did. Really, really thank you. Subscribe at that like button. I still messed up. Subscribe at that like button if you haven't already. P5 out. Y'all P5. Good luck to y'all. Have a great day tomorrow.